Coming up on this week's edition of NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen.
The annual NCBA Trade Show has something for everyone in the beef industry, and it's all under one roof. Today, we're taking a look at some of those products and services that will make your operation more efficient and profitable.
And now, NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen.
Hello and welcome to NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen. I'm Kate Maher. Thanks for spending some of your time with us. Today we're in New Orleans, which is the site of the 2023 Cattle Industry Convention and NCBA Trade Show. For some, the trade show is the best part of the event, with nearly 10 acres of exhibitors all under one roof. We asked some past trade show attendees why it's so valuable for them.
Well, the trade show is something I think everybody should come to see. It's an opportunity to associate with a lot of people at one spot and to meet people that are in your business and to pick up tips of the trade.
The trade show allows us to visit with a lot of our vendors that we've established relationships with over the last 15 years, see what their new offerings are, and keep track of what's going on in the vaccine world too.
The NCBA Trade Show brings that new technology to the producers. Go out there and see what's available and how that might be something that a producer could take home and use on their operations. So it's always great to see the new stuff that's coming out.
You know, you walk through there and you get to see things that you didn't realize were involved in the industry. New ideas, new technology, and things continue to change yearly.
Every year we do something that we've learned here, every year. In fact, this year we're doing a whole new feeding system because of last year.
The biggest thing is just all the people that you get to see and network with and meet with, and you know, you make a lot of connections, see a lot of friends you haven't seen for a long time, and you know, kind of the spot every year everybody kind of can meet and visit and talk about what's new and what's upcoming.
The NCBA Trade Show has something for everyone in the beef industry. So we stopped by several of the exhibitors' displays to find out more about the latest technology and equipment that's available to farmers and ranchers. Let's take a look.
High-quality pasture and forages are a critical resource for any cattleman. And with me today is Jeff Clark with Corteva Agriscience, who knows just a little bit about pasture and forages. Jeff, thanks for being with us today.
Good to be here, Kevin. Thank you.
Let's begin there. High-quality pasture and forages really makes a big difference to the nutrition of a cow herd. Tell us more.
Absolutely, Kevin. Nutrition is, paramount when we're talking about raising good cattle, sustainability in our cattle. And that's one thing at Corteva Agriscience we pride ourselves on, is developing good quality healthy forage by removing those weeds that are really just thieves of our nutrients and our water that our forages so desperately need, so that our forages can have not only the growth that they need in height, but that good protein content and TDN that the cattle's need.
And that becomes even more important in times of drought, like many of us are experiencing right now. So let's talk about weed management. You've got a product called Duracor. Tell us how that herbicide can improve our pastures.
Absolutely. So Duracor is one of our new herbicides in our lineup of many great herbicides. Duracor is one that controls 140 plus weeds. It's got the amino pyrrolate in it like people normally have used when Graze On Next or Chaparral. So it's got the residual. But again, it's picking up some weeds that Graze On Next just couldn't do a good job on, or maybe it just suppressed. That's where Duracor really comes in and controls those weeds at a lesser use rate at that.
That's excellent. You've also mentioned and introduced a product called Ultigraze. Is it weed and feed? And I'm not as familiar about that product. Tell me more.
So Ultigraze is our new branded fertilizer blend with herbicide.
Oh.
So what we are doing is taking our Duracor herbicide
Yes.
at the 18 or 20 ounce rate, mixing it with a dry fertilize of 200 pounds or more, depending on what you need for either your hayfield or your grazing pasture.
Yes.
And therefore you're getting a one-pass system of weed control, but also getting the nutrients that those forages need to really take off, and then later on in the season be able to outcompete that weeds that might germinate later on.
And given today's diesel prices, one pass makes a big difference for a lot of us.
That's where you're getting that return on investment.
Absolutely.
Less cost.
Let's talk about return on investment for just a minute, because not many people that I talk to will disagree that products like Duracor will control weeds. The question is it a profitable decision? Do I get more forage than I pay in weed control? Give me your perspective.
Absolutely, hands down. So if you go out and use Duracor herbicide this spring or this summer, you got to keep in mind for 1 pound of weed removal, we're giving you back 1.5 up to 2.5 pounds of forage. So at that point in time, not only are we increasing the protein in our forage because of the nutrients that we've already talked about, but we're able to increase your herd size because of the dry matter forages that are there. We're able to also increase your grazing days. So that means less hay, more grazing, less supplemental feed, more grazing. And we all know that feeding forage is the cheapest way for our cattle. So it's hands down, you might spend a little bit on the front end, but it's the tail end that you will see, wow, I'm really making money off of this.
And from my perspective, regardless of what we spend on herbicide, it's a lot cheaper than going out and buying another acre of ground these days.
Absolutely,
so it's a huge
if you can
benefit.
find it or even lease it.
That's right.
Yes, sir.
Jeff, thanks for your insights. Very, very helpful.
Yes, sir.
And for any of you who would like more information on Corteva's portfolio products, you can find that information at rangeandpasture.com.
Up next on Cattlemen to Cattlemen, you'll learn about some more cutting-edge products that are making a big difference in the beef industry. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Grass is the center of our universe. We've got to have a grass program that we can count on and plan on. That's what we need to sustain us, to keep us growing, to keep us prospering.
Cattle producers across the country work hard to care for their animals and their land. The USDA's Natural Resources Conservation Service is there to help. Find out how you can work with NRCS to develop a conservation plan for your operation. Find possible funding resources for implementing conservation practices, or get free expert advice on ways to improve your farm or ranch. Visit the website nrcs.usda.gov today.
All producers are looking for ways to capitalize on beef demand and generate more value from the cattle and beef they produce. And I'm here now at HeartBrand Beef, an organization that prides itself in helping producers do just that. Jojo Corrales is my guest, and Jojo, you've had 13 years experience building this ranch-to-table system. I want to step back, and before we talk about your system, talk about the fundamentals of consumer demand. We see some record consumer demand over the last several years, and frankly, we've been in times with record retail prices. What's driving that?
Yeah, I think it's definitely exciting times, and the trends that we're seeing from our beef consumer is they are willing to pay for quality, and they also are wanting choices when they go to the grocery store or the restaurant. I think that trend is not going away. So I think our beef consumer, not only do they want a more consistent product, but they're showing that they're willing to pay for it.
You know, and we've talked about these high retail prices. I think the frustration for many as commercial cattlemen is, yeah, they generate a lot of money in the cutout value, but how do I get my piece of that? Tell us a little bit about how your program works to try to help people capitalize on that value.
No, that's exactly right, Kevin. I think as commercial cattlemen and cow owners, we want a bigger piece of the pie. And one way to do that is join up with a branded beef alliance and also, provide an animal that they're wanting. So as a beef company like HeartBrand, we have to listen to our consumer on what they're wanting. And we're able to join up with cooperator herds, commercial cattlemen, that buy Akushi bulls, and they receive a higher premium on their weaned calves, on their yearlings, or as finished fed animals. So in my opinion, one way to get a bigger piece of that pie at the retail market is kind of deliver them a product that people are wanting. And so we pay 25 cents per pound over market price on finished fed cattle, and about the same on feeder calves. We're about 25 cents per pound premium on those weaned calves as well as yearlings.
So just to clarify, these are not 100% Akiushi. As long as I buy an Akiushi bull, create F1s, I can sell you them either as feeder calves or as fat cattle.
Yes, sir. The HeartBrand beef program is most commercial cattlemen buy full-blood Akushi bulls, put them on their existing cow base. And one of the reasons it's so successful is they get to keep the cow base that works for them. They get to keep the calving window, spring or fall, that would work for them. And yes, we are interested in buying those half-blood calves back. So they must be DNA verified through the breed association, and that allows us to verify the exact breed that we're going to feed. So, realizing that we want a genetic verified animal that is Akushi, and gives us verification to our customer that we ensure that it is at least half Akushi, that's the product that they're getting.
We've continued seeing some record high choice and prime grading carcasses, 83-85% industry-wide. How do these cattle perform compared to those metrics?
Yeah, Kevin, so I think that's our biggest message we have now is the Akushi cattle have completely performed better than expected, and this is not a test anymore. So over the last 100,000 head that HeartBrand has harvested, USDA graded, we've had less than 2% select and no roll, 50% prime, and the balanced choice. I mean, so those results are hard to deny. And we realize that there's such a good market out there that we're a small producer in the big scope of things, Kevin. But I think my message to the commercial cattlemen out there is there's so much more room in the industry right now for high quality premium products.
It's a great message and a great opportunity to capitalize on this growing demand for high quality beef. Thanks for being with us today, Jojo.
Absolutely, Kevin. Appreciate it.
Now, if you'd like more information on this integrated beef system, we invite you to visit the website heartbrandcattle.com.
Well, finding new ways to increase profitability is always important for cattle producers. And one sure way is to improve your herd's genetics. And with us on the program today from Transova Genetics is Brad Brundage. And Brad, let's talk about what you've been visiting with cattle producers about this week. And one of those tools that you guys have to offer are those Gen Plus embryos. Tell us more about it.
Yeah, for sure. So the Gen Plus embryo product is really unique in terms of creating replacement females. So that's an F1 embryo, so the first cross between two purebred animals, and they're sexed heifer embryos. And so it's really a unique product that allows producers to not only create females that thrive in their environment, but also maintain that highest level of heterosis in their cow herd. And that obviously helps a great deal in terms of input costs and fertility.
Well, a lot of times that genetic power starts with that mother cow. So tell our folks why the Gen Plus embryo route is a good option for creating that herd's replacement females.
Yeah, exactly. So with an embryo, you can actually source genetics from a higher quality level of dams. So you can source females that maybe excel in terms of feed efficiency and fertility and milking ability, and specifically select those females to produce embryos. And so your replacement heifers can be extremely uniform, being out of the same dam and maybe the same sire as well. So you could have full siblings as a set of replacement heifers. So just extremely consistent and high quality genetics that go into making that embryo product.
So tell folks what your Gen Plus F1 embryo program includes.
Sure. Yeah, so the embryos are a frozen direct transfer embryo typically, and those embryos can go a lot of times into your current cow herd as recipient females. And Trans-Ova is obviously really kind of built our reputation upon service to begin with. And so in terms of helping producers design programs for synchronization of their recipient herds and then the embryo transfer itself, it's really a kind of tailored to fit program from start to finish to make your replacement female. So it doesn't just include an embryo, it also comes with kind of our services in terms of getting the pregnancy rate and making the females for you.
And Brad, I guess as we kind of wrap up, maybe explain to cattle producers why the F1 embryo program is something they should at least consider versus the traditional way of creating replacement females.
That's a great question. So I think, for years we've kind of taken a mentality of selecting balanced trait sires and dams. And, this is really an opportunity to maybe create females that thrive and excel in their environment, and then terminally cross those females and make a higher quality fed cattle product. So an F1 embryo allows you the opportunity to really hone in on the details that make an efficient female, and then terminal cross her to make really good fed cattle and fat cattle. So it's just kind of a new way of looking at producing beef.
And of course, it's just one more tool in the toolbox as we started things off to help cattle producers at least have a shot at profitability.
That's right. Yeah. Obviously, it's about creating revenue and more efficient animals. There's no secret they're not making any more land, so the animals we put on that land need to be the most efficient we can possibly make them.
Absolutely. Well, we appreciate you being with us here on Cattlemen to Cattlemen.
Yeah. Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, again, we've been visiting with Trans-Ova's Brad Brundage about their Gen Plus F1 embryo program. For all the details, you can check them out online at transova.com.
Still to come, we've got a look at some livestock handling equipment that could be a valuable addition to your farm or ranch. That story when we come back.
Did you know you can get reimbursed for attending cattle industry educational events? The Rancher Resilience Grant helps cattle producers attend valuable programs such as Cattlemen's College and Stockmanship and Stewardship training sessions. Local, state, and national events qualify for the grant, and successful applicants can receive money back to help cover registration fees and hotel expenses. To apply for the Rancher Resilience Grant, go to ncba.org and click on the Producer tab.
Stockmanship and stewardship is a critical value of all of us in the beef cattle industry, but good stockmanship requires good facilities. And with me now is a gentleman who has dedicated his life to improving livestock handling facilities, John Mulhagen of Mully Manufacturing. John, thanks for giving us some time today.
Well, thank you, Kevin.
You are an absolute leader in this industry, and I'd like to just talk about the system you all have developed. Let's start with the crowding tub and that turret gate that is really revolutionary.
Well, yeah, let's start there. And we have what we call a remote that we actually can hold in our hand, and we can move this gate hydraulically and stay away from these animals. Yeah. And what this is doing for us, we just have so much protection for the people and the animals. Mm-hmm. Also, this turret gate, what we call shuttle. And a shuttle basically is as the animals enter and you have another group coming, we can shuttle back, and so we don't have to force this gate back onto oncoming cattle.
That's incredible. Now, as they move up into the alleyway, one of the things obviously that can happen, they can jam up, they can bunch up, not want to move. You've invented also a pretty nice assist system. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, once they've entered the alley, sometimes an animal will balk because he sees something ahead and there's a lot of motion in front and says, hey, I don't want to go. Mm-hmm. and we call it a hydraulic forward assist tool.
Forward assist tool. Good.
Correct. And the real key on how this works is we can push this thing through on an oncoming animal, but we don't want to have to stop the next animal behind.
Right.
And so this thing will actually lay on the back of this animal and lift up and go over the back and grab the next animal.
And just push it up nicely.
And it saves so much time.
Well, and low stress, no twisting of tails and ramming and jamming cattle. You are just in a very stress-free environment, encouraging that animal up the chute.
It saves so much time, and there's nothing worse than have to reach in there and twist a tail.
Yeah.
And we don't like doing that kind of work or some of the other methods.
Tell us about all these louvers that I see up and down the alley system and your chutes.
Well, you'll notice that on our alleyway, we also have what we call louvers.
Yep.
And basically what a louver is a way for an animal to not see what's going on in front of them, but yet if you take one step to the side, you can see where this animal's at. So you don't lose contact or visual contact with this animal. So this really helps the flow of animals, and it takes a lot of pressure off this animal as they're entering as well.
Your chute has set the gold standard in hydraulic chutes. Tell us about some of the key features of this incredible piece of machinery.
Well, we build we have a lot of different options these days. And it can be anything from hydraulic kick bars, which basically goes in behind the animal's legs and to stop a potential kicking. One of the more important things is our hydraulic neck bars. We can move an animal's head from left to right or right to left or straight ahead. And when we're finished, we don't have to put these tools away. We can just open our head doors and the animal can leave.
And as they leave the chute, this is something fairly new that I'm not very familiar with. You've got a sorting system that you've developed now, is that right?
Correct. What we've done is we're using this is what we call a three-way sort. So the animal can go forward or to the left or to the right. And then we can also add additionals on top of that. So we can go to a 5-way sort, a 7-way sort. And so this really helps us a lot in mainly if we're weighing cattle. We always have an animal that needs other work every time. And so if we can just separate those animals off, it really saves a lot of time. We see a lot of places when the animal is ready to leave the chute, there's nothing there, and there you are, you just have to start over.
Right, and these are all connected hydraulically, so you can operate that directly from the chute as well.
Correct, yes it is.
It's an incredible system, John. I'm very impressed with that, and I compliment you and your team for all the innovation you've brought to our industry. It truly is helpful in our stockmanship approach. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Kevin.
Now, if you'd like more information about John's system, you can visit mollymfg.com.
Helping cattle producers get the most return on investment out of their range and pasture land is what it's all about at Bayer Environmental Science. And with us from Bayer today is their Justin Hosfeld. And Justin, you have a great piece of technology and or product, however you want to describe it, to help these cattle producers across America get control and return profitability by taking control and getting rid of those noxious weeds with Rejuvra.
That's right. And so thank you, Russell, for the opportunity to talk about. So at Bayer, we're very excited about Rejuvra, its new site of action and its new mode of action that we're bringing to the market. It's a way of dealing with these pests that we've never had before, and that we work for it from the seed bank source. Instead of when we have a weed, we've kind of missed a lot opportunity. It's exploited those resources. It's already had its negative effect. With Rejuvra now, we control the seed, we eliminate it from the soil seed bank, and we're now giving the perennials and the desirable species the opportunity to maximize their production.
Well, I think what's really cool too is you're finding tremendous success because it's been out there now amongst the industry for a few years in states like Montana and Wyoming, and now you've added a few more to that portfolio where you can use it, right?
That's correct. Now we have labeling in all 13 states in the West, including California, which we're excited about, because in a lot of those spaces, we have a lot of fire risk. We have a lot of environmental risks that are going on. And now being able to attack that entire space to where we elevate the entire ecosystem is really valuable to everyone that's part of it.
Now bring it all back home. We've been talking about Rejuvra, but what is Rangeview?
So RangeView is a new decision-making tool that we're bringing to the space. It uses satellite imagery and a very robust decision-making model to help you get a good look at that space. As we know, in crop you can stand on a corner of a field or you can be in that space and get a pretty good assessment. But with range and pasture, it's geographically spread and topography is pretty rough. Now you get that global view. Now you get that whole assessment of where your risks are and where your strengths are, and it helps you optimize that application of Rejuva and your use of that space to get more dollars out of that investment.
Well, you've shown me that technology. I've seen it firsthand. It is incredible, and producers really need to take advantage of it and not be scared to utilize it.
That's right. Agriculture is faced with a lot of growth that we need to do and a lot of evolution, and this is part of that evolution. And we've all heard from ranching for profit to other business classes that we need to work on the business, not in the business. But nowadays we're going to work in the business. We have labor challenges from time to time. We put a lot of pressure on ourselves, but we're excited that RangeView brings you back to working on the business. You can be there through the day. You can dedicate the time you need to getting things done, and then still use RangeView to be very empowered with knowledge and be the best decision maker you can be.
Absolutely. Well, some great advice and also some awesome products now available to cattle producers, especially across the West, to help take control again of your pasture and rangelands with Rejuva and RangeView. For more information on Rejuva, you can visit rejuva.com, and for RangeView, rangeview.us.
After the break, we've got a look at more products and technologies that can make life easier on your farm or ranch. Stay with us. There's more Cattlemen to Cattlemen to come.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, CEO of MyPillow. Retailers, shopping channels, and now even banks have tried to cancel myself and MyPillow. During these times, your support has meant everything to us. So my employees and I want to personally thank each and every one of you by passing the savings directly on to you. We're selling the best products ever for the best prices ever. For example, we have my towels with proprietary technology, which makes them soft and absorbent. Towels that work, what a concept. They're made with USA cotton and come in a variety of awesome colors. My 6-piece towel set is regularly $109.99, now just $39.99 with your promo code. So go to mypillow.com now and use the promo code on your screen or call the 1-800 number below to receive this exclusive offer. If you do it right now, I'm going to include a free gift with your purchase. Thank you and God bless.
Top performance requires top nutrition. And with me now is Dr. Zev Gray of Diamond V that knows just a little bit about good nutrition. Dr. Gray, thanks for joining us on the show today.
My pleasure.
Diamond V's been around a long time. You've got a lot of products, and frankly, a lot of us have been feeding a lot of those products in our feeds for some time, maybe not connecting it to the name Diamond V. Tell us a little bit about your portfolio products.
Sure. Well, we actually only have a few products, and that's maybe what makes us unique, but our legacy product, XPC, has been around for a long time. And it's been a mainstay of a lot of different feed companies' starter programs or stress tubs.
Yep.
So that product we've had for a long time. In the early 2000s, though, something kind of unique happened in that Diamond V's insurance company came to us and said, of all the companies we insure, your folks go to the doctor the least. We'd like to figure out why. And so we set out on a quest for about 10 years to figure out what in our product or what in our plant was making people healthier. Mm-hmm. And in 2011, we released a human product called Epicor that shows a reduction in allergies and inflammation, less chance of getting flu and cold. And that's a really cool product. And so what we've done is we've pulled that product back onto the animal side. And so what Diamond V is, we have a proprietary process where we use a yeast to generate a fermentation. And at the end of that fermentation is a host of metabolic products that when fed to animals prompts an animal response and performance.
That's really exciting. And you talk about the legacy product being XPC, but you also have a new generation product called Nature Safe. Do you mind telling us a little bit about the difference between those two products?
Absolutely. So XPC traditionally has shown the main things that we see in animal performance is a little bit of increase in feed intake, But the big thing is we see an increase in the micro populations of the rumen, the bugs that are the workhorse of that animal breaking down feed. And as a result of that, we see a lot better feed digestion. And additionally, we see a better rumen environment for a host of reasons. So that's what XPC does. NatureSafe even expands upon that with more bugs, better feed digestion. But the big thing that sets that apart is that NatureSafe actually acts on the animal's innate immune system. And we have data evidence to say that it actually primes the immune system of that animal. So when there is a challenge or an insult to that animal, the animal is better able to respond to the challenge. And when the challenge goes away, they're actually able to, that immune system dials back, because we know, and that's really important because we know the immune system is a really energy demanding process.
Okay.
And so that would be the big difference between XPC and NatureSafe, is that immune function that we see.
Tell us about some of the results you're seeing with NatureSafe itself.
Sure. So we see the classic performance with XPC in terms of feed digestion and average daily gain, but we're also seeing less pulls in the feed yard, and particularly less second pulls. So our data would suggest that animals are responding when they get sick to the vaccine better and are not getting sick that second time. And what's really interesting here in the last couple of years is most of our work has been focused on the front end of that feeding period when animals come in. We're now doing more work at the end of the finishing period. And that's not a period we think of animals being exceptionally high stress. Yes. But when you think of the number of days cattle are on feed anymore and the end wakes we're taking these cattle, we have some really cool studies in the last 2 years showing increased performance and decreased sickness during those last 30 to 60 days on feed. So it's a really exciting time.
If we've learned anything, we've learned that an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, and that's exactly what you all are doing in terms of doing through nutrition what sometimes we do from a treatment standpoint, right?
Absolutely.
Dr. Gray, thanks so much for your time today. And if you'd like to know more about Diamond V or its portfolio of products, just visit diamondv.com/NatureSafe.
Without question, data collection is a very important tool for maximizing profitability in any industry, but especially the cattle industry. And at Datamars, that is their area of expertise. And joining us from Datamars is their Jason Jones. And Jason, thank you for being with us. And you folks really do offer a wide array of products and services for cattle producers across the country, one of which are weighing systems. Let's tell folks at home how weighing cattle can in fact help with profitability.
Russell, I'm glad you mentioned that. When it comes to weighing cattle, that's what we get paid on, is pounds of beef. I tell people you can't manage what you can't measure, Russell. Take, for example, we got to have a baseline of where we're starting out, and I like to say athletes, when they start training, they time themselves to run a marathon, and they want to improve upon that time. Scales are what we use in the cattle industry, just like a runner uses a stopwatch. So we got to measure our productivity, measure our performance, measure our improvements. And so with the scale product lineup that we have, you have the ability to track where you've come from, and also the ability to get where you want to go to.
Well, Jason, today's technology is nothing short of amazing, and you folks at Datamars are really offering today's cattle producers some amazing tools out there to truly help out with increasing their profitability on their cattle operations. And of course, one of those pieces of technology is your remote walkover system. Talk about why you folks are so excited about this technology.
Russell, this remote WOW mobile system allows people to capture weights real time. When you turn out cattle to graze them, you deploy the system into the field. The cattle are walking over the scale, basically free choice. It's out there with the animals full time, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You're getting data that comes from the EID tag. That uploads to the cloud along with a corresponding weight for that animal. And so real time, through the app on your phone, which is Datamars Livestock, You can track those animals. You can make predictions of when the animals are going to be ready to come off. You may make predictions on your forage quality at the time. If you see some of the gains slowing down, you may know that your forage quality is declining. Therefore, you may want to move those cattle. So you've got real-time data to make management decisions on the performance of the animals and the quality of the forage.
And really, that's a great way of getting the data that's being collected out in the country, so to speak, back to the home base for the record keeping, which of course is really important in today's business.
Yes, it is. So, that happens through, can happen through several different ways. The system can communicate to our cloud server through a 4G signal, or it also can communicate through a satellite communication, but you're getting that data real time every day.
Hey Jason, before I forget to ask, how is this system powered out there in the country?
Russell, I thank you for bringing that up. This unit here, when it's deployed out in the field, it's self-contained. It does not need any external power. It's got a 90-watt solar panel up top that's recharging a 12-volt battery, and the control box and all of the electronics, the scales, the EID reader, the sorting gates, everything is operated off that 12-volt battery, which remains charged by having those solar panels implemented. So we've got a power source that is self-contained. This thing's just ready to be deployed.
And finally, just talk about the ease of use, because I know some people get really scared about talking about and even buying and implementing new technology, but really in the end, it's there for their benefit and their use.
Yes, Russell. When you deploy this system, you just basically tow it behind your ATV or your pickup truck to the field. You'll place it around a water source, something that's going to attract the cattle, and then the cattle just cross over the scale. They just walk. They do not have to stop in order to be weighed. So the cattle are just weighing themselves as they go to a mineral feeder or a water source. They're weighing themselves. The EIDs are being recorded. The data's coming in real time. Really, it's basically drop this thing in the field and you're ready to go.
Well, we appreciate you taking some time to talk about all of this exciting technology. And folks, I'm telling you what, it is exactly that, some amazing technology for everyone in cattle country to hopefully increase your profitability. For more information and to learn more about this type of technology, you can visit them online at livestock.datamars.com.
It's no secret, water is an essential nutrient for all livestock. And with me now is Jeff Miller with the Ritchie organization that has a 100-year history of providing water systems for livestock. Jeff, thanks for spending some time with us today.
Thank you. We're glad to be here. We love participating in the NCBA, and we're glad to be back again here in Houston.
Let's talk about a couple of issues right now that are very topical to the industry, and that's sustainability.
Right.
The reality is a lot of people are talking about sustainability, and certainly cattle utilize a lot of water already naturally. How can Ritchie help beef producers in terms of sustainability as it relates to water use and cattle well-being and even energy use?
Well, excellent question. Water it's becoming, especially in the Southwest, it's becoming more of a sought-after commodity and a scarce commodity, dealing with drought and so forth. But the main thing is our products they're very efficient with our water use. Mm-hmm. The cattle are just drinking off the waters, so they're replenishing just the water they use. So we're not wasting it and so forth. And then we also, we do have a number of heated units that are very efficient. They just, $2 to $3 a month to heat them, everywhere from Canada, down to the Beltline, where they need heated waters. Sure. So they're fully insulated. They're very efficient. They're all encapsulated, so the heaters, are working just as needed. And then also even our manufacturing process. Okay. So there's very little waste in our manufacturing process.
Interesting.
So, we look at it, and those things are important to our customers as well. And then they're gonna last 25, 30 years. We have customers, they last even longer. So, it's not something that's gonna get recycled or go to the landfill. So we're very conscious of that.
That's an impressive set of credentials. You know, one of the questions that I have is that we have lots of different types of producers come to this event, and everybody from hobby farmers to large commercial cattle operations. I'd be curious, what are the types of products that you have for that variety of farm and ranch?
Yeah, well, we have 44 different products.
Wow.
So we're here at the beef show. We love the beef guys.
Right.
But we also serve the dairy industry, and then we also, you know, the exotics, the goats, the sheep, that type. And then also our equine market has grown substantially. So especially in this last year. So it's been very interesting. But we have a full line for the equine, and then we also, you know, have a full line for cattle, then specific to dairy and so forth. And we can, we always say, you know, we can water from 1 to 500.
That's impressive.
So yeah, good variety.
2021 marked 100 years, am I correct?
Yes, it did.
As you think about 100-year history, how big of impact has it been that you're not only 100% American made, but I understand 100% employee owned, is that right?
That's correct. That's correct. Since 2014, we have been employee owned. Yeah. So, and you can tell there's a lot of both the ESOP and then the longevity of the company. You know, we have many employees that have been there for 30 to 40 years. They've put in the hard work. They've helped build the company, and so that's you know, it's a big draw for the employees on the ESOP program, or the employee being employee owned. So, you know, it's a reward for their work, and then also, you know, the 100 years, there's not a lot of manufacturers that have stuck around, but and then also you mentioned, Ken, the American made.
Yes.
So, and that has been, you know, this last year, everybody struggled with the same supply chain issues, but we haven't had to rely on anything outside the United States for our parts.
Very
for
impressive.
our parts and any other materials that we use. So that's really helped us this year. But,
I suspect that's
yeah,
right.
but like everybody else, we've had
supply
some
chain challenges,
Yes.
trucking, labor, all those
Yep.
things are impacting all of us. Well, thank you, Jeff, for spending some
Thank
time
you.
with us today and sharing with us a little bit about both the history and the product portfolio. And if you're interested in learning more about one of those 44 different products offered by Ritchie, we invite you to go to the website, www.ritchiefount.com.
Matt Macon's here. On this week's Weather Watch, we're talking about what May bring us in terms of moisture. It's been an interesting April. We'll touch on that and areas of drought improvement ahead in this week's Weather Watch.
From the very beginning, Ritchie has been dedicated to one thing: helping people deliver fresh, constant water to their animals. Today's Ritchie waterers rely on a valve design that remains much the same as it was in 1921. It's a simple idea: do it right, and the rest will take care of itself. We never set out to create a company that would be around for 100 years. We just wanted to create something great.
These are the pennies it costs for Alticid IGR protection, making it one of the best values in the market, designed specifically for fighting hornflies on pasture. As a supplement, Alticid IGR is part of what you're already doing, and as a feed-through, what your cattle are always doing. Take shelter from the swarm for just 2 to 3 cents per animal per day. That's just $4.50 per animal per season for hornfly protection that has been performing for over 40 years with no known resistance. Alticid IGR.
Time now for Weather Watch with meteorologist Matt Makins.
It's time for another Weather Watch. Hope you're doing well. I'm Matt Makins. Let's talk about the weather pattern that we've seen throughout the course of April. It was really impressive in some cases. Cold and wet across the northern plains. We'll take a look at that. Then we'll chat about what May bring us. And then we'll have where the drought will likely improve, at least some improvements throughout the course of May. Now, April, it was an interesting month. It was well forecast. We had wetter than average conditions in the northern plains, some hit and miss areas of water in the Tennessee Valley, southern Mississippi to the southeast, New England, and also the Pacific Northwest. But what was surprising was the surplus of water that came throughout mostly North Dakota and far northern Minnesota. Came in a couple of series of storm systems, leaving quite a bit of historic snowfall in a lot of cases, stretching from Montana into northern Minnesota. So that was impressive. Now the cold, at times some of the northern plains were upwards of 10, 20 degrees colder than average for a stretch of time. As you look at the country, the colder than average area actually extended all the way down into South Georgia. Warmer locations from the southwest into the south. Texas was one of the warmest spots throughout the course of April. Now what does May bring us? Take a look at May's outlook. First historically, and then we'll talk about model projections. But historically, May will bring us more moisture from eastern Montana into the Dakotas, as well as eastern Texas into Louisiana and Arkansas, as well as the Northeast. This historic perspective also calls for drier than normal conditions from California into Arizona, New Mexico, and West Texas. That's not unheard of. Historically, if you compare what we expect this May to those Mays of the past, combine all those past Mays, and this is what you have. Now, how does model projection change this? Very little, actually. In some of my writings, you'll hear me mention the American CFS model. It's a climate model. Well, right now, it's projecting wet areas from Montana into North Dakota, East Texas into Arkansas, and out across the east, and very dry into Colorado, New Mexico, West Texas. Very similar setup in the model projections versus what we have seen historically. So there's pretty decent confidence going into May. What does this mean for us? This means we may see some drought improvements, and I'll show that area to you now. Drought, latest drought monitor as of late April, we may see improvements right in here from Iowa into northern Minnesota, down across the southeast, but where we may see things get worse is Colorado and Arizona. Something to keep tabs on as we go throughout the month ahead. I'm Matt Makins. We'll see you next time for the Weather Watch.
Like brown stomach worm, Cuperia, Nematodirus, and others. With 2 dewormers from 2 different classes, you can kill more resistant worms in your cattle, so you don't leave potential on the table. Consult your veterinarian for the diagnosis and treatment of parasitism. Then bite back at safeguardworks.com.
This beef quality assurance tip is funded by the Beef Checkoff.
Hi, this is Libby Bigler here to give you a BQA tip on record keeping. Record keeping is a core principle of beef quality assurance, and there are many software programs on the market that help both purebred and commercial cattle producers maintain quality production records. It doesn't have to be complicated though. You can always keep records the old-fashioned way with pen and paper. There are also many apps available out there for your smartphone or tablet, so check the App Store and find the record-keeping system that works for you to keep record-keeping simple, convenient, and always at your fingertips. For more information on record keeping or to find templates and forms, visit bqa.org.
The Beef Quality Assurance Program is funded by the Beef Checkoff.
The quality of U.S. beef has increased dramatically over the last 30 years, leading to a record high demand for U.S. beef. And with me today to talk about high quality beef is Jenny Tweedy with Mishima Reserve. Jenny, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks, Kevin.
Tell us a little bit about your organization.
So Mishima Reserve American Wagyu Beef is a Wagyu beef company that is growing, both in quantity and in quality. So we work with a network of over 70 cow-calf producers in the western United States. And what we do is we go out there and we sell Wagyu genetics to these cow-calf producers, and we buy back those calves. We're focused on producers who have a predominantly Angus, just uniform commercial cow base, and we sell them Wagyu genetics that have proven carcass merit. So we're bringing back those calves into our production system, and it gives them the best genetic propensity to both perform in the feed yard and on the rail.
When you talk about selling genetics, are you talking about bulls or semen, or what are you selling?
You know, we're doing all of those things. So we're selling bulls, we're leasing bulls, we're also selling semen. We're just trying to have a quality control on the Wagyu genetics that are out there, because not all Wagyu is created equal. You know, there's some that are better in crossbreeding situations. So, you know, we're just making sure that the quality along our supply chain is controlled, and, you know, giving those animals the best opportunity on the rail to produce a extremely marbled carcass.
Let's talk about quality control. What are the kinds of things you're doing to make certain that your Wagyu beef is at or above any other Wagyu beef out there?
So our cattle are set up in a way to be able to perform. They are a 60-day weaned calf. that goes into the feed yard. They'll be around 500 pounds, 600 pounds, and those animals are gonna be on feed for 350 to 500 days. They're targeted to gain right around 2 pounds a day with an average finish weight of about 1,500 pounds. And, you know, between the genetic selection and also the feeding program, it's married up to where those animals are always consistently hitting above prime.
So clearly we've seen a tremendous increase in demand for Wagyu beef. Tell us what's driving this growth.
Well, consumers across the United States for years now, the trend has been that they're trading up in their proteins, right? So we've seen an increase in demand in Prime Plus products. And we've also seen more availability in the retail space for specialty products and a large growth in the branded category. And Mishima Reserve is a prime example of this. I've been with this company for about 8 years now, and our sales has increased by over 900%. And we're projected to double sales within the next few years. So really the limiting factor currently for us is just creating enough Wagyu cross calves to, you know, meet that demand of the end consumer.
Well, and that was what I was going to ask you. I mean, what is the value proposition for me being an F1 producer for you and utilizing Wagyu genetics instead of another type of genetics?
So the advantages for the commercial cattlemen are a few different things. The Wagyu breed has some unique characteristics beyond just the carcass merit. So the majority of the cattle producers that we bring on as entry-level producers run a lot of heifers. And the reason why, you know, a Wagyu bull is ideal for heifer production is it creates a low birth weight calf that brings a premium above market prices. So, you know, not only are they getting a low birth weight calf, but they're also promoting the longevity in that heifer animal. Sure. So, you know, it's kind of a win-win situation for both their bottom line and the longevity in their cow herd.
Well, it sounds like you have some incredible momentum in your program. And for folks that may want to learn more about how they can participate in this program, we invite you to visit mishimareserve.com.
This was a look at just a handful of the great companies you can find at the annual NCBA Trade Show. There's hundreds more that exhibit each year with products and services aimed at helping beef producers be more profitable. And it's not too early to start making your plans to attend next year's event. The Cattle Industry Convention and NCBA Trade Show is coming right here to New Orleans on February 1st through the 3rd of 2023. You can find out all the details on the beef industry's premier event at the website convention.ncba.org. Well, that wraps up this edition of NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen. Thanks so much for spending some time with us. We'll see you again next week right here on RFD TV.